She's a grandma to 6. She loves to read and visit with friends. She's traveled places like Palau, Indonesia, Turkey, Afghanistan, Great Britain, Israel, Japan, Korea, the Philippines, but she loves home the best. And with that, I'm going to hand it over.
Oh, it's good to be here, you guys. I always enjoy coming to Moms groups. I was part of the first Moms group that started in a church in Southern California. And my kids were little, and I wasn't a leader in it, I was just a participant. And I lived for those mornings when we had moms. And I remember getting the kids all dressed, or what I thought was all dressed. You know, when you get there and every once in a while you realize, forgot something, or you reach up and realize you don't have your earring on. And got everybody in the car, all ready to go. The car wouldn't start. One of the worst mornings of my preschool years. I just enjoyed this group so much. Well, I'm talking to you today about a not very cheery topic, and I realize that, but it's very dear to my heart. And so I'm excited to be able to share with you a little bit of my journey through anxiety and depression and some things that I've learned and that have helped me cope with it. I do want to mention one thing before I get into the talk, though. I have what's called an essential tremor, and so my hands shake, particularly when I'm holding something like this. I've never found anything it was essential for, and I told you about that. But apparently it makes sense in medical speak, so that's what it is. I just started taking medication, so it's a little bit better. But I'll ignore it if you will. We'll just pretend it's not here. I have a long-standing relationship with anxiety. It started when I was a little girl. I worried about everything. Frequent stomach aches. You may have read about this in your history books, but there was the Cuban Missile Crisis when I was in elementary school, and my neighbors built a bomb shelter in their backyard, and we were just sure we were all going to be annihilated, and I was fit to be tied over that for a while. Had a great mom and dad, and they helped me calm down on that, but it was a continual struggle for me. I was very responsive. I was the first child, you know, and so I took everything quite seriously. Depression started in middle school. I was in very unique circumstances. I lived in a remote village on an island in the South Pacific, and our family was the only Caucasian family in the village. Middle school years, I was this tall, beanpole skinny, and pasty white, and all of my friends were beautiful, brown, gorgeous people. And that and the fact that I couldn't really speak from the heart. I knew the language, but not enough to really, like you do in middle school, share with your girlfriends. So, and I wasn't getting along with my mom and dad because I was in middle school and my sister was too little, so I was a mess. I had figured out where I would kill myself and how. I just hadn't decided when. So, and nobody knew. My parents didn't know that until I was in my 30s. But they did move from those islands back to the States, and with that relocation, that depression and those ideas went away. I struggled with depression off and on through high school. I was involved in a ton of things, way too busy, but just kept going. Pretty much lived with, if I can just get through this week, I'll be okay. And every week was like that. So it was, I had fun, but it was still not the best. Then in my 30s, I started having panic attacks, just for the fun of it. And I would be sitting on a chair, sometimes in my living room, sometimes in public places. One time at New Heights main campus, my husband has been the senior pastor at New Heights for 20-some years and has just gone part-time. But we were there for our interview kind of thing with the whole congregation, and I'm sitting in the front row of church on this lovely padded chair, and I thought, I'm going to fall over. I am just going to absolutely fall over. And I'd had that happen previously, and so what I learned was, just hold on to the chair, and this will pass. And it did. But oh, it was not fun when it was happening. I struggled with anger that would flare up and be not expressed in healthy or right ways. And I finally told my doctor about that. I remember nobody was home, and Matt was on a trip. My husband Matt was on a trip. He was coming home. Both kids were in high school and gone to some event, and the house was messy. And I was so angry. I really felt like if I could just pick the house up and throw it, I would. I was aware enough to know this was probably not normal. So that's why I mentioned it to the doctor. And she said, have you ever thought you might be depressed? And I said, oh no. You know, I get up every morning and I function and I go about my day, and no, depression has never entered my mind, because I had a picture in my mind of people who were depressed as being people who couldn't get out of bed, who just were hermits. I had no idea how widespread it is among people you see every day going about their normal day. So she said, well, why don't we try a little mild antidepressant that will help you get some restorative sleep, and let's just see how it goes. And I said, well, I don't want to be on medication for years. She said, you don't have to be, just give it a try and we'll see what happens. Well, I'll be darned. One day, after being on it for four to 6 weeks, that's usually how long antidepressants take effect, the sun hadn't come out, but I felt like it had. Do you have that same feeling when the sun comes out and you just feel this, almost your whole body just lifts? It's wonderful. Well, the sun hadn't come out, and I thought, well, I'll be darned. I have been depressed. That medicine is helping. So that began my journey towards happier days, less depression. I was sleeping better, I was taking the medications, and then I went to a counselor, and she helped me additionally because I had coping mechanisms that were not helpful. And one of them was self-talk, what we say to ourselves, about ourselves. Mine was not always healthy. And she explained how depression can be from a physical cause, like brain chemistry is off, or other diseases can cause a depression as a side effect. Sometimes it's caused by circumstances, so financial stress, which almost every young family I know is financially strapped. So, and that had certainly been the case for us, so I related to that. Relationship stress, I certainly had that at work, at school, with my family, friends, neighbors. I'm not in conflict with people a lot, but I still have had just irritations with relationships, and those can sometimes bloom into depression. And she talked to me a lot about some of the things that I was doing. But I think the greatest thing about all this help that I received was that I realized depression happens. It's not as big of a deal as some people want to make it. There's help. There's hope. See, he agrees with me. And it's really not that big of a deal. Now, it can be completely debilitating. And I don't want to gloss over that with anything trite. And what I experienced was not helping me to be the best mom or wife or friend. So I'm really grateful that there was help. I wasn't aware of any stigma related to it, so I told all kinds of people about it. And, it's like, oh, I just got diagnosed with diabetes. I haven't, but that's kind of how I treated depression. Oh, I just found out I've been depressed. And I was shocked at how many people said, oh, yeah, I struggle with that too. Or, oh, my family members just had a terrible time with that. It was amazing, and it opened up so many conversations that were helpful to me, and I think helpful to the other person as well. So I've never felt inferior or weird or anything like that because I haven't. I just have it. I get help. I do okay. And that's what I hope for you guys. I hope that if it's a struggle for you, you feel the freedom to get some help. Talk to somebody about it. We're not crazy. We're just depressed. We're sad. We're anxious. We're worried. And all of those things can be helped. My husband says that the body, the mind, and the emotions and the spirit are so closely connected that they catch each other's diseases. And so it's lovely to have a doctor who will talk to you about all of those components and help isolate maybe where the depression is originating, because it can come from any of those things. But I want to talk to you about what we say to ourselves when we're depressed. There are lies that we tell ourselves when we're depressed. I'm a failure. I'm a terrible mother. I'm going to ruin my children. I'm hopeless. I'm alone. No one will understand. I'm always going to feel this way. And I'm here to tell you, those are lies. And you have every right to boot those right out the door and focus on the truth. Love yourself enough to tell yourself the truth. You're ill. You're not able to do your best as a person, wife, mom, friend right now. There's hope, and I will get better. I'm not alone. Others understand and can help. I can get help and I can feel better. I'm not going to ruin my children. Good things come out of the experience of depression, but generally after we get help for it. My suggestion is, and what my experience taught me, was the first place to start is with your primary care physician. When I told her I was ticked off enough to want to throw the house. But you can share whatever your symptoms are that you think are bothersome or worrisome. We need to give ourselves a break. As moms, we are incredibly busy. Can I hear an agreement on that? And it's hard for us to set down some of the responsibilities that come with being a mom. But it's essential that we take it easy on ourselves when we're suffering from anxiety or depression. It's okay not to do it all. And that, for some of us, that's just hugely difficult to let sink in. The gal that was one of my mentors when my kids were little told me about a conversation she had with her husband when she had 3 preschoolers. And she told him how frustrated she was and overwhelmed and tired. And he said to her, "A babysitter is cheaper than a mental hospital." He was very straightforward. And so they found in their budget enough money to pay a babysitter 1 morning a week so that my friend Gwen could go about and do anything that fed her soul and gave her a break. It's not always possible to find it in the budget, but there are people that we can ask for help, and there are ways to find free babysitting. Sometimes we share, we reciprocate. If you're depressed, I would suggest you find a friend or a grandma who can watch your kids and not expect you to reciprocate by watching theirs. Because if you're depressed or anxious, you really don't need more kids in your house, even for one morning. Find someone who you can talk to about how you really feel about life, who won't go, those kind of people we don't need to talk to. We need to find people who say, yeah, I get that. I can understand how you would feel that way. And they will encourage us and care for us through the journey of dealing with it. Don't waste time with people who are going to make you feel inferior or stupid or like you are making yourself sick. There's lots of books available on momming and raising kids and depression, so feel free to get online and look some of those up or ask other people. Blogs, I know, are a super helpful way for some people to get input and help. I really don't know how to do blogs yet, so I'm just taking that on faith. I would say if you struggle with anxiety or depression right now in this stage of your life, do not watch the news. You have my permission to let the world go by and let other citizens take care of all the problems in our world. This is not your turn. It's your turn to rest and to focus on what is most in your control, most in your realm of responsibility. Don't watch HGTV. She does it all.
Thank you.
She gardens, she cooks, she decorates.
I know, she has 6 kids, she does everything.
I know. Let it go. You know what I noticed after watching a lot of HGTV, particularly where they come into a home and they remodel it and they take everybody, they take the families, all their stuff out, right? And then, of course, when they walk in, it's a mess. I've always wondered this. And the other night I was watching it, and was the one where they loved or listed. And they went in to tour the house before they did anything to it. And the gal, I forget her name, it's the main person on the show. She walked into the master bedroom and said, you would think if they knew we were coming, they might make it better. And I thought, yeah, I mean, what is with that? But you know what? If you're depressed and overwhelmed, who cares about the bed? I'm just going to get into it and mess it up later. But here's the thing about HGTV, the after version, okay? They bring the family in and it's drop dead gorgeous. It's drop dead gorgeous because nobody lives there yet. And the same people who messed up the last house are going to move into this one. All the stuff they took out is going to go back in there. So we don't live in HGTV after houses, and we shouldn't. I think we should have a house that's clean enough that people are not getting sick because they live there. That the health department won't condemn it. But I think a lot of germs are good for us. So this is not the time in your life to strive for a magazine layout house. I went to someone's home the other day, and she has older children, but she said, I decided to invite them into my reel. And I so appreciated that. Let's just invite each other into our reel. We have toys all over the place. Well, do I want my kids to feel comfortable there? Or do I want guests to feel comfortable there? Guests are going to go away. But my kids, I want them to feel this is their space. This is their place. My sweet husband is not organized in the same way that I am organized. And so when we first got married, I had to adapt and accept his different way of organizing, because to me it looked like messy. And I decided I really want him to be happy to be home. I want him to feel like this is his place. And I don't want him to feel like I'm his mother. So I just decorate around it. And I clean around it. And, you know, we started out, if we're going to have a good marriage, the mantra I have to repeat to myself is don't touch his stuff. So when I got some physical issues and I hired someone to come in and clean for us, I said, here's the deal. Anything that looks like it belongs to a man in this house, we don't touch it. I have a happy marriage and I want it to stay that way. So don't touch his stuff. Just clean around it, and she does, and it's great. So, you know, cut yourself a bunch of slack on that. If you only have energy to do a little bit, spend the time with your kids. Sit down in the middle of the mess and let them crawl all over you and laugh with them. I was way too serious as a mom with young kids because I'm going to teach my kids how to obey and how to behave. And they did. They learned, and they're great people now, and I don't think I damaged them too much, and I have apologized several times. But I think I waited too long to learn how to laugh with them. And they were in high school before I read a book called Learning to Laugh Again. And I wish I'd read that when they were grade schoolers, because they do so many super funny things at that age. So, lighten up. Here's the other thing. Stop seeking perfection. It's a terrible temptation. Even coming to a group like this, there's always someone in the group who is more stylishly dressed, more beautifully coiffed. Their makeup is just right. Their kids are quiet. And we can compare ourselves with them and come up feeling inferior. My favorite book on life says, when they compare themselves with themselves, they're foolish. It just doesn't lead to anything healthy. You are beautiful just the way you are. You are loved unconditionally just the way you are. There are no perfect women, no perfect moms, no perfect wives, no perfect husbands, no perfect homes, no perfect jobs. There's no perfect anything. And the sooner you give yourself permission to just be real, the less anxiety and stress is going to be part of your life. There was a comedian that, I think she's gone now, passed away, but she wrote, cleaning house with small children at home is like shoveling the walk while it's still snowing. There is a certain degree where you just gotta let it be. I also found a book called Loving My Actual Christmas. And I read it, it's awesome, because you know, we can tend sometimes to have this Currier and Ives kind of mental picture of the gentle snow falling and the fireplace going, and the trees beautifully decorated, and the presents are all wrapped, and everyone's dressed beautifully, and the children are well behaved, and we're all sipping our hot chocolate together. And I've yet to experience that even once in 68 years. So there's a lot to be said for just saying, I'm going to love what I got. And what I've got is a house full of very imperfect people, me included, and I'm just going to choose to love it that way. Don't list it. Love it. Take shoulds out of my vocabulary. I should do this. I should get all the beds made this morning. I should make sure the toys are all picked up before my husband gets home. I should get a part-time job to help with finances. I should. You can should yourself right into the pit of despair. Do what you can. In that my book I just love, that's on life in general, in one of the accounts, a woman comes in and serves this teacher, and the people around him say, "What's she doing? She's interrupting, she's making a mess." And he said, "She's doing what she can while she can." And the story of her will be told forever. So don't should yourself. What can I do today? What am I capable of getting done today? Do that. And just call it good enough. Or as my friend likes to say, call it ball game. Just do what you can. Some days you'll be able to do more, some days less, but love yourself enough to say, this is my real, and it's okay. I always thought if I can just end the day with everybody still alive, we have had a good day. And I used to have this technique with my kids where when they misbehaved, I would get down on their level and look eye to eye and explain to them what they did wrong and what I expected to change and what the consequence would be if they didn't. And then they would have to repeat it back to me. And it dawned on me that the only time I looked my kids in the eyes was when I was correcting them. And I hated that. So I started getting down on my knees and looking them in the eye and telling them something wonderful about them. And then I realized I should be doing this to myself too. There are wonderful things about me, but the only thing I tell myself is where I'm failing, where I'm not measuring, where I'm not in good comparing well with someone else. I found this on the internet, and if you aren't depressed or haven't been depressed, it might help you understand. You might be depressed once I finish reading it. It says, being a parent is like jumping out of a plane with a bunch of people who don't know how to open their shoes. So you fly around doing it for them all. Then you hit the ground, but you don't die. You get up and cook dinner. I just laughed out loud when I read that. You know what? When I was depressed, Domino's was on speed dial because sometimes I hit the ground so hard at the end of the day, cooking was not an option. Cut yourself some slack. In fact, I didn't realize how often I did it until the neighbor kids were grown up, and they said, "Yeah, we used to see the Domino's car at your house all the time." But, didn't realize it was so obvious. Okay, those are some tips, some of my experience. I hope something's been encouraging to you. But I can't leave here with integrity without telling you about the most important help I got. And that came through my faith in Jesus. What I found in him, and I gave my life to him as just before my sophomore year in high school. And what I found in him then, and what I have found in him through the last, I'm 68, came to Christ at 16, so however many years that is, What I have found in him is complete acceptance, always. Complete love, unconditional. He doesn't say, well, I'll love you tomorrow if you can get yourself to cook a real meal. Or, I'll love you once you stop worrying about things. He loves me all the time. When I'm depressed, when I'm anxious, when I'm angry, when I'm mean and stupid and selfish. I have always been able to come to him as my true self. And he has always loved me. And I think had it not been for that, all the other things I did to help myself get through anxiety and depression might not have been enough. I read when I was a mom of preschoolers a book by a gal named Alyssa Morgan, and it was called What Every Mom Needs. I highly recommend it. She goes through all the different things that moms need to give to themselves to feed themselves so they have something to give to their kids. It's an excellent book. I just was at a retreat and she was one of the speakers. She's my age now. Our kids are all grown up. We're grandparents. She wrote this book not too long ago. It's called The Beauty of Broken. This gal not only wrote awesome books, but she was head of the MOPS program. Some of you may have heard of that. It's similar to Moms. And she was the president of it for like 20 years. This is what she writes. I want to share it with you. She became a mom like I did the first time through adoption. Matt and I had infertility issues and adopted our son in 1982. He was 5 weeks old. And then 2 years and a week after his birthday, God gave us one homemade. So I have one store-bought and one homemade. And it's been fun both ways. So she's a mom through adoption as well. This is what she writes. It had been a long day, the kind when everything came undone as soon as I did it. Preschooler insanity. I wiped bottoms and mouths and countertops, though not in that order, of course. At last, bedtime. Evan, her husband, was at a meeting, and I made it through the sweet night-night routine with Ethan, still a baby, and then 3-year-old Eva offering what I thought was pretty much mothering perfection. I'd embraced the myth of perfect parenting, fully expecting to create in my home what would become a perfect family. Until tiptoeing down the hall to my room for mommy time with a bowl of popcorn and the TV remote, I heard a toddler cry, "Mommy!" When I returned in a huff, my daughter wanted another drink, another book, another kiss, more of me. I didn't have more. I was on empty. While I gritted my teeth and endured the moment, I knew I was a nasty fake. I reeked of impatience and anger. Where did such anger come from? By the time I turned out her light again and made it back to my room, I knew I didn't deserve mommy time. I thought, I'm a lousy mother. I'm the worst mother on the planet. I will ruin my children. I know it. And she's read the same book on life that I have. And in that book, a woman says this prayer after she has had her first child. I prayed for this child, and the Lord answered my prayer and gave him or her to me. Now I give him or her back to the Lord. He or she will belong to the Lord all his or her life. Those words were embroidered in a pillow in my daughter's room. I'd expected to say this prayer when Eva went off to college or walked down the aisle to be married, not when she was 3. But mercy, I needed God to take over now. God was listening. In fact, he piped right in, whispering to my heart, "Okay, Eliza, I'll take care of Eva, no worries. But do you trust me with her?" "You bet," I shot. "You're God." "Do you trust me to walk her through a life-threatening illness?" Yeah. Do you trust me to walk her through? Do you trust me to decide who she should marry? Or if she doesn't marry, do you trust me to provide for her? Well, I really like us saying who, but okay. Do you trust me to determine if she should go to public school or private school or be homeschooled? Could we just pick from options 1 or 2 here, I pled? Yikes. And then, yes, I trust you with Eva. Then Eliza, do you trust me to choose for Eva the very best mother for who I know she will become? I sat with that question a long time. Did I believe that God would pair me with my child to be the mother she uniquely needs today and in the years to come? Was I up to the year after year commitment of knowing this truth and living it out in my actions? I still trace my finger along the edges of this truth today. What I want you to walk away with today is God picked you to be the mother to your children. He trusts you. He wants to help you. He knows that who you are is going to affect who they will become. And it's pleasing to him. You know what? We aren't going to do it perfect. I mentioned before apologizing to my children. I have done a lot of that. Because as hard as I tried and as much as I wanted, I didn't do it all right. But God knew that before he gave Ben and Amy to me. And they learned from my mistakes. And Ben is a better parent than I ever was. Amy's got the same infertility issues that we had, and they don't have children, but she's a gorgeous aunt. Don't let lies circulate in your brains. You are dearly, deeply, forever, unconditionally loved by the one who made you the way you are. And when you come to him with your real self, he can help be even better. Thanks for letting me blab. I know you don't often have a grandma come in and do grandma stuff or mother stuff, but I sure appreciate you guys and what you do. I appreciate the stage of life and how hard it is. And I am not going to be one of those old ladies who says this is the best time of your life. They used to say that to me, and I would think, oh, please don't tell me that. Please tell me it gets better from here. It's a good time of life. And every stage after it is a good time of life. They all have their challenges. Just enjoy it. Much as you can. It will pass. You will wonder where the heck the time went. So anyway, take care, you guys. Thanks for letting me come.
Maybe there's a little